As I said, we are getting our music off Spotify, and that is Njeraya with Beg For It off an EP that will be coming out on Friday, if I am not wrong. I hope I got that correct. But yeah, we are getting into the second part of the show. That is the podcast part of the show. And today we were discussing the client and service provider dynamic. If you're just coming in, how and what are people doing here so early in the morning? This is the In All Honesty podcast. My fabulous name is Orawo. This is running on our TBC radio show every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. We are having it on Tuesday because I made bad decisions over the week. I beg, I am sorry. This is the live with the most swara. Hey, yo. But anyway, we are back. So we were basically talking about the client service provider situation, dynamic, and we were just getting into the podcast part of the episode. That is the In All Honesty podcast, coming to you on TBC Radio every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. And as I said, we didn't have it come to you yesterday. It seems like so far away, but yesterday because things happened here and there, and now here we are. Please forgive us. We will do better next time. We will never miss a show. But if you missed our live right here, you can always find it on buyolive.com. The link in my bio is in my bio, and you can buy the full show, the full 2-hour show for only 75 Kenyan shillings. That is how you get to support the podcast. And I think, was it Doliat? It was Doliat who asked why 75 Kenyan shillings, because then it culminates to 300 shillings per month. That is all you need. That's all you need to get the full show. That is about 2 hours times 4. That's about 8 hours of listening. It's fair. But it's fair. For only 300 bob, it's very fair. And also, if you want to just get the last, that is the podcast part of the episode, that is usually our second hour. You can find it where you stream your podcast. That is on Spotify, AfriPods, anywhere else where you stream your podcast. And I am sorry for the hiccup we just had. I think this Jedi song is very sensitive. I really do not know, because that's what happened in the beginning of the episode as well. But all is good. We are here talking about the client and service provider dynamic. That is it. Right. And on our second part of the show, we usually have a few confessions here and there, and that is what we get to discuss. So here I have one confession that is related to basically service provider client dynamic. That is what we were basically talking about. And I'd like to know if I am audible. Can someone confirm if I am audible? Because maybe I've come back and disconnected and I do not know. Please, before I continue. But I'll continue to tell you what we were talking about today: client and service provider dynamic. I don't know if you can hear me. I want to know that before I continue. Client provider, service provider dynamic. Okay. Thank you, Pentela. Thank you so much. So we have a confession for this episode, and this goes: I quit my job on the first day. Haven't we all? 247, we can hear you. Thank you very much. The first confession we have here is: I once applied to a job that was set up in an old warehouse. When I arrived for the job interview, I thought, hey, don't sweat the small stuff, and climbed up the steep steps to get into the building. Once I was inside, I noticed the entire call center was in this one room. No wall dividers, no doors, just a room with cubicles and managers' desks in each corner. The room was dark with 1 or 2 floor lamps. The windows were left closed. I could see dust particles floating in the piece of sunlight that snuck through the crack of the blinds. I needed the money desperately, so I figured I'd just stay there 3 to 6 months, then move on. The straw that broke all the camel's backs. So she went ahead to describe a couple of things, but I was just like, okay, this is going to be too much of a long confession, so I just shortened it. But the straw that broke all the camel's backs was my manager decided to call us over and give us a pep talk. He wanted us to get into our sales mode. I was in and out of his speech when I heard him shout, "Now, I like money. Who doesn't like money? Money makes everything better. Money fixes everything. Now get on those phones and let's go." I walked past my desk, went to the fridge next to the HR, grabbed my lunch and went home. I quit, and I still haven't received my 3-day paycheck. Yo, It is so true. So first of all, as you were saying, there could be red flags. So this person has gone in for a job interview. And it is funny. This person has gone in for a job interview. You get into the job interview, you realize the job interview is at a warehouse. It looks dingy. It looks funny. It's giving get out. So you get in, you climb the stairs, you figure somewhere. It looks like, you know how, for me, this picture was like, you know, at the time when like slaves were working in a processing plant. So it's just an open warehouse, windows are closed, it's dimly lit, there's only 2 lamps in that floor, and everyone is in an open space. There are no cubicles, there are no separations with anything, and then managers have their desks at corners. This is wild. This is wild. So at first you're like, okay, I'm desperate. I'm going to stick here until I have I'll leave in 3 or 6 months. But within the first day you've joined, the manager calls all of you to a pep talk. And the pep talk goes, I'll read that part again. Okay, let me just read even the last paragraph. The straw that broke all the camel's backs. My manager decided to call us over and give us a pep talk. He wanted us to get into our sales mode. I was in and out of his speech when I heard him shout, "Now, I like money. Who doesn't like money? Money makes everything better. Money fixes everything. Now, get on those phones and let's go." I walked past my desk, went to the fridge next to the HR, grabbed my lunch and went home. I quit and still haven't received my 3-day paycheck. And let me tell you, these places that you sort of shuku when you're going in, chances are them paying you is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. It's those places where you'll work in such horrible conditions, and then at the end of the month you'll still hear things like, "Oh, the company is still not making good money," or "You can wait a little, we'll pay it together with your next month's salary." These places that your heart just feels some type of way about it. And sometimes it's so bad that even desperation cannot keep you there. It doesn't matter how desperate you are. Sometimes it's just so bad, you're just like, ain't no way. And when we were discussing in the first hour, we said that there are people who agree that disrespect is hapo kwa madharau is where we're just like, we can deal with under pressure. We can deal with when things are coming in, when there's a lot of work, when probably the JD doesn't match the salary. We can deal with all of that. But actual disrespect, and I have realized also, as we're working in corporate, people need to realize that everyone is, let me say, when you're working with people, there are people who are bullies. They're generally people who are bullies, and they will test the limits. So if you let them keep moving, they will keep moving. They'll get, you give them an inch, they go a mile, because you didn't stand your ground. So I have realized, because there are places where I have worked, and it was horrible. Like, I would see people getting shouted at. I'd see people being told what, people being given crazy things to do. And that never happened to me. Personally, it never happened to me. And sometimes you'd see the boss come around and like shout at everyone, and gets to me and corrects their tone before they address me. Because I am very keen on, I beg, you're going to come correct. First of all, I'll need you to lower your voice because I can hear you. You're right in front of me. So I feel like sometimes if you let people continue treating you that way, and there are people who genuinely love to treat people badly, you've realized even in some situations, like when I worked in customer service, because in the first when you're new in customer service, you don't know, you're still trying to make sure the customer is served right, And I was very young at the time. I didn't even know that there are people who genuinely are just coming to look for a scuffle. There are people who just like enjoy bullying people. So even in the beginning, I would realize that this person would come in and they'd pick me specifically. They wouldn't want to be attended to by someone else. Even sometimes you'd find a queue in front of me, but they would rather wait for me than go and get attended to by my colleagues. And because my colleagues were cutthroat, and I'm sorry for judging you guys. When I first joined that job in customer service, I used to look at my colleagues and I'm like, if you treat the customer right, the customer is going to feel better, and so they will not treat you badly. Their customers just out here waiting. They are waiting for anyone they can bully. So I realized this person, they want to come in. And it is really wild for you to leave your house, to go somewhere and just disturb someone for like, huna kazi wewe, huna kazi. What are you doing? Ana kazi. So this guy would come in multiple times, even in a week. Every day he'd come in and come to me. "Oh, I have this problem. And because I'm the one who wants to hear and serve the customer right. I was like, okay. It got to a point where I was like, why does this person have a new problem every day? Maybe they just don't even have someone to talk to at home, and now they've decided it is me they're going to die with. And why don't they ever go to any of my colleagues? So I realized there are customers who genuinely just want to come to you and disturb people, and that is the issue. And that is why when we say, is the customer always right? Maybe that is not the case. The customer is not always right. And in this case, I'm looking at the employer. as the customer, because they're the ones who are offering you money for them to give them a service. In particular, like service industries, like maybe let's say catering. I do remember there's this one time back, was it on Facebook, where and someone said there's a customer who was like, I want this and this cake. You know, the way people, hey, lakini customer. Someone has described the way they want cake. They want a cake that looks like this. Hey, hata sometimes utapanda helicopter ndo decorate cake yenye umeambiwa. And then when it's time to like, you send the quote and the customer is like, me, I have 700 shillings. Hey, Jehovah, 700 shillings. So I remember the joke at the time was the service provider just put together all the ingredients, wrapped it nicely, like put it in a box like a cake, nicely. Put there unga, eggs, milk, in a nice box. Delivered it to the customer. I beg, here is your cake for 700 shillings that you want us to jump over hoops and go and swim with Moana looking for the heart of Tefeti just to bring you a cake. So I do not think that actually customers are always right. And I think that should change, especially in the service industry, because as we have realized as time is going by, we're realizing that people are just mostly badly behaved. If you are just coming in, this is the In All Honesty podcast on our TBC radio show, coming to you every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. And if you miss the live action right here, because first today we've been interrupted like twice. If you miss, hey, Germany, if you miss the live action right here on Instagram Live, you can find the full show on the link in my bio, that is buyolive.com, and you can grab any episode you like for only 75 Kenyan shillings. That is how you get to support the podcast, and that is how we keep running. And also, if you just want the second half of the show, that is usually our podcast part that you have caught right now coming in at 8:19. If you just come in, then this is our podcast part of the show, and you can catch this part on anywhere where you stream your platform, where you stream your podcasts. Hey, Jamane, that is on Spotify, AfriPods, really anywhere where you stream it. And today we are talking about the client service provider dynamic, and is the customer always right? Because we've seen a couple of, actually I'm seeing Hilda here has joined, because you also had a case of someone who came in for a service and then didn't pay. They were like, oh, my money, I don't know what my phone has done. I don't know what my card has done. And then they go home and you start following up with the money, and it's like, hey, pay me. And then they are like, so it's for 2,000 that you will ache my head like that. I beg. When you are coming for a service for 2,000 only, you came humble. And then right now, is the customer always right? We're discussing the client, what is it called? We're discussing the client service provider dynamic, because we know clients are crazy, and I do not know from where we started thinking that the customer is always right. And I genuinely want to understand who came up with that, because even me working in the service industry, I have met customers and I'm just like, we need a day, as we've agreed in the first part of the show, we need a day to actually just fight, to throw hands, a good way. Throw hands, because we've realized that there are people who are just bullies. There are people who are genuinely bullies. And then there are things like in the situation of unemployment, because we were also talking about, do you operate from a point of less dignity because you have been employed? If you're looking for money, me, I'm looking for a job. Does it mean that the person who is hiring me can do whatever they want because they have the upper hand? And as we discussed in the first hour, it was a situation where someone was looking for a job, and while they were in the job interview, they've gone for 2 interviews. Now this is the 3rd interview where you are seated with the final boss, and you're like, okay, now we're discussing the final things, just tying the last strings. And then the boss wakes up mid-interview, walks to the kitchen, grabs a mango, cuts his mango, and starts eating in the middle of your interview. Now, we've justified both sides. We were like, okay, maybe this is the only time he's had a sit down the whole day. He's been running around. Okay, we can give him that. But don't you think this person should at least communicate? And the other argument that the other person had was, the boss, he's the boss. If he wants to eat a mango, you want to lose a job because the boss ate a mango. And I think that idea of the boss is doing you a job, the boss is doing you a favor, that's a mentality that I want us to shift, because I want us to start realizing that when an employer is looking for a particular service and they find you, that you're offering them the service and they're offering you money for it. If not, they can keep their money and do that service themselves. Why are they hiring? Because I feel like this idea of thinking your boss is your savior, you're desperate and therefore your boss has come to save you by giving you a job. That's not the case. We need to start looking at what we are offering as a service. It is something that someone needs. They do not have the time to do it, or maybe they do not have the skill to do it. And I have the skill for it, and therefore you are paying me for this job. This idea of thinking the person who's paying you is doing you a favor doesn't make sense to me. And I think it is also the case that basically feeds into the customer is always right, because the customer feels like if I'm paying you money, then I can do anything with you. Like we've seen in the cases, the first hour, we saw in the two cases of the photographer and the makeup artist, where the customer just thinks they can throw in breach of contract, And we've also asked, I don't know if in Kenya, service providers like say photographers and makeup artists, do you guys have contracts? Because the situations we've looked at in the first hour, it's the contracts they signed that saved them from the bridezilla and the couple that was coming for them later on. So I'm thinking, do we have contracts to protect us? Is the customer always right? If you are just coming in, please tell me what your thoughts are on generally when people feel like when someone is employing you or giving you a job or paying you for a service, then they have every right to do what they want. And sometimes we're seeing even aspects of bullying. Because why is this? Some things don't even make sense. Like the confession we've read. Why is the office in a dingy space that has no lighting, the windows are closed, there's no air, the people are crumpled up together, there's no privacy? What sort of is this? And then on top of that, a manager is calling you to tell you, we all like money. Money makes things better. I want you to hit those phones and make us money. Kidogo, please. I personally worked in customer service. For less than, I think, okay, let me not say less than, because every job I have worked except one has been less than a year. I've never stayed anywhere longer than a year. But as I worked in customer service, I realized that customers are bullies. Some people are just looking for a place where they can let out their anger, they can project, and they do not care who they go for. Because there's this time that I was with, I slept at someone's. Let me call it an Airbnb. Now the owner of the Airbnb was giving me like a tour the next day and was like, okay, here's where you go. And she was discussing this with someone and she said, you know how sometimes you're looking for a fight. There are days you wake up and you just are looking for a fight. And I told her, I can't relate. I have never in my life woken up and felt like today I want to quarrel with someone. And I was very surprised that there are people who feel like that, and that's normal. Ati leo natafuta tu. Leo nimetamani tu. So they might even go to a supermarket and just wait for the slightest thing at the counter. And then it blows up. It's like, oh, what are you doing? This and that and that and that. And you just want Korofishwa. And you've seen a video on social media where someone went back to almost like fight the attendant because they got a particular product wrong. And once they got there, the attendant was just like, oh, I'm sorry, let me exchange it for you. Here, look at this. Is this new enough for you? Okay, bye. So since it was so easy, that woman was sort of confused because she was like, okay, I came to fight. What do I do with this energy for fighting? And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of people who genuinely are just itching for a fight. Like you can wake up one day, the way me, I can wake up and crave chocolate. There's someone who can wake up and crave a fight. Is that normal? Is it normal? Please tell me, because if it is, then we have a lot more unpacking to do than we already have. We've discussed so many episodes where we are supposed to be unpacking, and if this is still something that is happening, oh yeah, I think we need to be doing better. I'll read a response here. Pentela, you are saying customers are not always right. There are customers who have been sent from hell to make your day a living hell. Mimi, the minute you disrespect or talk shady, nimefutwa kazi, I will react. And that's the other thing. Why is it that we're not getting protection from our employers? I really like that Dolly at Alia said that the customers sometimes in the business where she's working, sometimes customers are not always right in terms of even taste because they do not know what they're doing. When they come in, you're supposed to guide them through the different products, what's good for them, what do they need, what will serve them better. And she says that when a customer comes in with disrespect and they're disrespectful towards you, chase them away. And that is direct orders from the boss. And I'm thinking, that is right. That is a boss who understands this is what I'm offering. The customer should come with this level of respect. And this is what, there should be mutual respect for me to give you what you need, the service you need, and for you to give me the money that I require. And sometimes we've also seen negligence and we've seen some sort of disrespect from service providers, because we've laughed here and talked about hairdressers, tailors, because what are those? And you know, right now, I think in the service industry, it's so infiltrated by everyone. So sometimes you have to be very careful who you give your business to, because there are people who genuinely do not treat people well. And as I've also mentioned, even in the influencer space, there's particular situations where an influencer, you go into a particular place, you as an influencer are treated very well. You come here, you say, oh, I went here, it was so nice, I loved it, You were treated well. The person who comes because they saw you recommending it, them, they are not an influencer like you. They find another whole situation. So I'm just like, also those type of service providers, because there are some business in this Nairobi, some places in this Nairobi, because there's a restaurant where I'm just like, how is this place still open? I have not met a single person, including the influencers who've pushed that place. I have not met a single person who talks about that place nicely. Why is this place still in business? And why are influencers pushing a place that genuinely, is a place that's not offering value? Is my moral compass too on point? Am I standing on my high horse of privilege looking down? I really want to understand. I really want to understand where it gets to the point of you can negotiate with disrespect. Because I come to your service, you give me bad service. Or I know you're giving other people bad service, and then I'm still here out like, oh, go to this place, it's really nice, they treated me well, and you know very well it's only you who was treated well. You know very well. Please. Pentela, you're also saying, there's nothing normal about starting your day feeling like you want a fight, right? There is not, I don't know. Me, I was just like, okay, because I've heard it from multiple people. That was the day I saw someone confess, but I've seen it from multiple people, especially even working in customer service. I was like, this one just woke up and is itching for a fight, and I guess they can't fight with their wife or husband, so they've come here to look for anyone random that can catch the bullets today. And I was just thinking, okay, it's not normal. And if you are that kind of person who wakes up and itches for a fight, do better. Do better. Unpack, go to therapy. Please contact by Olave. We might not even escalate it to therapy yet. We might just need to look at what it is that is going on in your life. What happened that day when you woke up and you're like, today I'm going to fight. I'm getting you say, we can't win. Tunakipata from both sides, bosses na customers. Ni uchungu. It is so painful. It is so painful. Because if you're the customer, you're fighting battles with a client. If you're the service provider, you're fighting battles. Like, there is genuinely no winning. But I also do not feel like there is any space for disrespect. Service providers, please, clients, just pay your service providers, agree on what the deliverables are. Please don't change it. And like in the situation that we've discussed in the first hour, where there's a photographer who went to a wedding and he took photos of the wedding, Now, the bride comes on a couple of months later, uploads 10 very blurry photos on social media and is like, oh my goodness, this is what my photographer did to me. I am so disappointed on my big day. And then she was called out. Someone else who even had access to the folder came out and said, what do you mean? And leaked some of the photos from the folder and said, the folder has 1,000 plus photos, 1,000 plus. And the photos she came with from the same folder were beautiful, beautiful. Like, it was so difficult to scroll through the 1,000 photos and find the 10 that the bride had actually picked to come and pick a fight with the photographer with. So it was just like, what was the intention? What did you have it out for the photographer all this while? What was the intention of this bride or this couple with this photographer? And we see the makeup artist as well. Makeup artist did makeup on the bride, she looks cute and all that. And then the bride, 6 months later, the makeup artist goes viral. She's being tagged left, right, and center. She realizes a video of the bride washing her makeup, saying she hates her makeup, she cannot go into her wedding with the makeup like that. And when the makeup artist had left the bride, they were happy. The bride was so happy. She thanked her. They hugged. They had connected. Everything. She was very keen. She came in early. Everything. Kept checking in on the bride with a mirror. Do you need us to change anything? Do you need us to change anything? Recommended, carried extra things. And when she left, the bride was happy. And then once you come 6 months later, 6 months is when you decided, okay, let me post this video. And actually, when the bride starts to record, she says in the video, I can't wait to post this on TikTok. What is wrong with these clients? What is it with this looking to bring down a particular service provider? And even me as an influencer, I said, it is very difficult for me to come on social media and call out a business. There are things that me I stand by. Do not take Bolt cabs. There's been enough cases of Bolt cab stories in Kenya. At least I know Kenya is a problem. Those ones, there are brands I will mention and I will tell you as a matter of factly, okay? There are things I know. But for me to come and seek a service from you and then come and blast you on social media because of bad service, it's very difficult. For me, I feel like even if you recommend something and I use it and I do not like it, I will call the customer on the side. I'll call the service provider on the side and be like, the food was not good. I didn't enjoy this and that. But coming on social media to blast you so that your business gets a hit and therefore, like at the end of the day, maybe it fails. I do not know. I feel like that is such a drastic measure. I wouldn't come on social media to give a bad review unless it is set. Like we know Bolt Cabs is literally threatening the life of girls in Kenya. We've had more than enough experiences. I had my experience, I think in 2019. Yeah, it was early 2019. I had a couple of experiences and I was like, I what is it called? I uninstalled Bolt from my phone and I said no. So every time I've seen a story on Bolt, I'm just like, guys, there's enough cases to prove. And I'm just like, no way. Me for Bolt Cabs, I'll call them out. I will always call them out. I've seen they're now pouring a lot of money into marketing. Do better with your drivers because your drivers are doing the most. And don't come at me with the same drivers in Bolt are the same drivers on Uber. They know. The drivers on Bolt know that they won't be held accountable for anything they do on Bolt because Bolt has very horrible systems. But Uber, they know there's consequences. And you will be so surprised how humans behave so differently under different situations where they know here there's punishment, here there's reward, here there's nothing. Humans behave differently in those different situations. 247 crushes, you say, the lengths people will go to get sympathy and disgrace others while at it. Hey, going through over 1K photos just to get one bad photo to cry about. I beg indeed. 1,000 photos. And you were like, okay, guys, see what the photographer did to me. May I also understand if there is a certain need to trend on social media? May I know if there's a certain need to trend on social media? Because you can't tell me this is just something you bring to the front. With my very few followers, I'm very scared to bring anything on social media, especially if it is something that will impact someone negatively. And that person maybe is a small business, a consultancy. Like they're not the multinationals. Me, multinationals, I'll call you out. The way I'm calling out Bolt, you're a multinational. You have the capacity to create better systems. Do better. There's a lot of complaints and a lot of serious cases that have come out of Kenya. I don't see them being worked on. You've just poured more money into marketing. You've poured more money into getting influencers to push your brand, and you're not doing anything to improve the quality of your product. So for multinationals, I'll call you out. But fellow business people, I think you owe it to them. You owe it to them to just tell them on the side, this and this didn't work out. Maybe improve on this when you're working with the next customer. But we're also saying this, knowing very well that there are shrewd business people who will try and give you less value for the money that you have paid. So even service providers have given us the most. And we've talked about hairdressers and tailors because we know they're the number one culprit. We know they're the number one culprit. What you ordered versus what you bought. There's a whole, like that entire, the existence of what you ordered versus what you bought is courtesy of service providers. Shrewd service providers. And sometimes I'm just like, I understand that you can be desperate and you want this particular thing, but do you ever look at the bigger picture? Because sometimes a provider will tell you, I needed to take that job to get the money. But me, I come and show you a dress from the Met Gala and you tell me you can make it. You know very well you've never even made a dress for a red carpet in Kenya. You know very well. You can say, no, for this, I don't think I can make it. Let me even refer you to someone who I know has experience in this. And me, if you have clothes like normal, regular clothes, you want a Rora show dress, you come and tell me. Why would you take up something that you're not sure you can do and then go ahead and disappoint people? We've seen the number of cakes that people have delivered to people's houses because you saw something online and you said, yeah, can you do this for me? And instead of saying, I've never drawn SpongeBob, I can't do that cake for you, please. Find someone else while I still practice. You decided, okay, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to do it. And knowing so well that maybe that's not even your forte, that's not where your strength lies. You know you're going to mess this up. And you still take up that job because you want the money. And now the customer is disgruntled and you also still want to match up their energy and argue with them. Oh yeah. Hey, as Getty has said, we are suffering from both ends. Whether you're the customer, whether you're the client, the streets are treacherous. It's a jungle out here. And if you are just coming in, my fabulous name is Orawo, and this is the In All Honesty podcast coming to you on TBC Radio every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. And we didn't have this yesterday because of a couple of inconveniences here and there. Very much. They were things that we could control, but we did not. And so we are having it on Tuesday, but no worries at all. If you miss the live action right here, you can always find it on buyolive.com. The link is in my bio, and you get an episode for only 75 Kenyan shillings. The unadulterated, unedited episode, you get it there for only 75 Kenyan shillings. That's how you get to support the podcast so that we can keep growing. And someone here also asked why 75 Kenyan shillings, because it's an odd number. It culminates to 300 shillings a month. That's how much you subscribe for 4 episodes in a month. Yeah, 4 episodes in a month. And I think it's pretty fair. I think it's genuinely pretty fair so that you can help the podcast keep growing and keep running. So the lights are on, right? And Pentella, you are saying here, ordered versus delivered ni a new level of delulu. Service providers wengine ni wenda wazimu. And the lack of consideration that sometimes someone can deliver this thing, like maybe the event is tomorrow. They know they've done you dirty, and they secretly deliver it very fast last minute, like today evening. And you're just like, you've seen people literally cry because what the hell am I supposed to do between now and tomorrow? All the money I had, I spent on this one thing because it was all the money I had. This was the money I had for the dress. Hey, service providers, please, let's try. Let us try. I know it's not... It might not be easy, but let us try, because service providers are also just giving people as much character development. But also today we were talking about, is the customer always right? We are talking about the client service provider dynamic. We've seen a couple of situations where there's a bit here and there between the client and the service provider, and service providers will come out and say, clients are this, clients are that, and service providers will come out and say, the clients will come out and say, service providers have done this and that, and it's so everyone is holding each other at gunpoint. And you've seen the situation. I think when I went into business, I think for me, I was very lucky because I had already built like a following on social media. But when I went into business, I knew the first problematic area might be cash on delivery, because how many people have been scammed? And I remember even me, sometimes when I was ordering something from someone, I would be like, can I pay on delivery? But also I sat down with other people who started businesses, and they tell you, Olave, even us, we get scammed. Even us, you send something to a customer and they refuse to pay the boda rider. Sometimes they even grab the thing and run away, and they don't pay you. So at the end of the day, you're all holding each other at this point where it's just like, okay, you pay me my money because I know you'll scam me. But the customer is also thinking, yeah, even you'll scam me. So there has been that kind of difficult situation. But I've seen there are particular services right now that are offering delivery services, at least within Nairobi. They are offering delivery services, and once they hold on to the money. So I don't know what it's like. It's like, maybe it's like e-commerce, like is it Amazon? Is it Amazon or Alibaba? Where your money is held in between here by the provider, like the delivery person. The money is held, the customer pays, the money is held with this person in the middle. And then once the whatever has been delivered and the customer confirms that it has been delivered, then the money is sent to the seller. So I've seen that kind of situation right now. I've seen a couple of people providing that service. I hope it will get cheaper and it will get more accessible with time, so that at least we can develop that sense of trust. Because right now, the cost is wild. And also in the first hour, we were discussing about the KQ situation where there's a woman who was disgruntled because of delayed flights, and now they decided to hurl used pads at the KQ attendants. I know, even Olave was here and said, why would you throw them? Like, having them is a whole other, like, for us, the question was, why do you have used pads in your bag? I wouldn't. It is so wild. And you are in a situation where you can discard them. Because I'm thinking, if you were at the airport has hotels, the airport itself at the waiting lounge has toilets. You could have discarded these things at any time while you were actually changing to put on a new one. There was a place where you could have discarded these used pads. But you were just carrying them around. That was one situation. The second situation where Olave was actually wondering is, why would you throw them at someone? Why was that your first thought? That you people have made me angry. Let me go into my bag and throw used pads at you. Like, why would you throw anything at anyone? Because you're saying, I wonder so much. Because why would you throw anything at anyone? And I like how the attendant at KQ was she stood on her ground. Even while this person who's already thrown pads is now threatening to call the minister. You've thrown used pads at people and then you threaten to call your minister. Are you mad? Are there no mental institutions in Nigeria? Because why are you running out here free? Like, it doesn't make sense. It really does not make sense. And also another situation we've talked about is employers or other people, let's say the authority figure where you're working in customer service should protect, or rather the rules around it should also protect the service, the person offering the service from the client, this disgruntled person. Because even us, as we're going about our business, we're interacting with people, you're going to buy things somewhere, please understand. Because me, when I worked in customer service, actually I worked at Safaricom Eldoret, someone would come in and holler phone at you. And I'm just like, I beg, sir, I'm here, I'm waiting for my 13,000 Kenyan shillings. I don't even know what Bob Kolimo looks like. Just leave me alone. So even you have the knowledge to know that this person you're interacting with, especially for bigger companies, multinational companies, this person you're interacting with here is not the company. This person is just here to get their money and go home. The much they can provide a service for you is what is stipulated by this company's guidelines. If your phone is subscribed to something that you do not know about, when you come to me, I'm supposed to check what the subscriptions are, what you do not like, and remove them for you and guide you on how to remove those subscriptions. But what the company has done to you, what Mpesa has done to you, that is none of my business, Abi. I don't even know. As much as I'm concerned, I've never even been to the Nairobi office. And you are here, you want to. In fact, I have been hired by Safaricom has hired an agency to hire people for me to work here. My salary is not even coming from Safaricom. Like the money entering my account is not reading Safaricom PLC, right? So there are things we also need to understand while we're interacting with service providers, we're interacting with customer care. If someone has worked in the customer service situation, those are things that we need to be keen about. Just have the knowledge. Sometimes when you're going somewhere, you're in a restaurant, I've seen people even like quarrel waiters. Why are you quarreling the waiter about the state of the toilet or something? Why are you quarreling the waiter about the chair you're seated in? You genuinely think this person who's serving you food has the say on what type of chairs to have in the hotel. It's not giving, if someone looks at you, even if you claim to be smart, it's like, there's a situation there that's not looking very easy. So I would say, I would say this show so much was going into, let us just realize that people working in the service industry, people offering services, customer care, let's just give them let's give them the respect that's due. Okay. And clients as well. For people offering, if you're a service provider offering clients particular things, don't try and it's not time to now try and make profits and provide less. Like, do better. And in the situation of employer versus employee, as I've said, can we change our mentality to you are providing a service to the employer who is paying you? It's not a situation of you being desperate and an employer now coming to tell you, okay, you can do this and that. I can do this to you because I'm the one paying you. And it doesn't matter whether you do not have a job. It doesn't matter if you are going through, let me say you are desperate. It doesn't matter what position in life you are in, you still deserve dignity. You still deserve respect. So if you're in particular situations like what we were talking about in the first hour, where there was someone who went in for an interview and then the boss mid-interview just stands up, goes and picks a mango to eat. And this person felt so disrespected that they decided to not take that job. And their friends were thinking, are you crazy? You're going to quit a job over a mango. It's not don't get stuck in the semantics. If at some point someone did something in the interview process or just as you're joining this job and you realize, this is speaking to more disrespect, and if I let it fly, something else is going to come that's going to be bigger than a mango. So sometimes it's not the idea of you eating a mango while I'm in my interview. I'm just like, what is this indicative of? After we've discussed with Akina Mukasi Love, where we were like, if this is sometimes, we understand. Sometimes you haven't caught a break the whole day, and now is the time when you're seated, you're on this interview, and you are like, while I'm here, I can eat something, right? But I would feel it is right to just tell the person who you're talking to, just excuse me, kidogo, I'm really tired. The whole day I haven't eaten anything. Please allow me. Let me just pick a mango. I eat while the interview is continuing. I'm still listening to you and I can hear everything, and the interview will continue as usual. I'm just very hungry. I haven't been eating the whole day. I feel like you can always explain, communicate, and that even makes it feel like you are someone who's considerate of other people's times. You're also respecting your employees' time, because the idea of feeling like if you're my boss, then you can do anything because I, as a person who's been employed, I am desperate and therefore you're doing me a favor. No. And as I've said, if you feel like you're doing me a favor, you can keep your money and do that thing yourself. Maybe you're hiring me because you don't have the time to do it, or you're hiring me because you don't have the skill for it. You're not trained for it. So at the end of the day, looking at employers or looking at employees, what am I looking? We're looking at getting a job as an employer employing you, being that they're doing you a favor. That's not right. That's not right at all. You're providing a service. Always look at it that way. When you're going in somewhere to get any kind of job, or you're going to give someone a service, because even sometimes, even for us influencers, it's like that. Like someone will offer you a brand partnership and now they feel like they're doing you a favor. No, you're not doing me a favor. I have the numbers. I have the conversion. I'm the content creator. I'm doing the content. If it's not this thing, keep your money and do the content yourself. Because I genuinely do not understand this idea of, oh, I'm doing you a favor, I've given you a job, I'm paying you so I can do anything with you. And that is why we've also talked about the situation on, what have we talked about? The situation on contracts. If you can in any situation, try and write up something, even an MOU, an agreement. Just make sure you have something that can protect you in case you're working with someone who is ill-intended. They have ill intentions, so it might just protect you in that situation. And Cassie Love, you're saying something we didn't consider. Labda ni kukosa courtesy too. Not like it was an employer doing the employee a favor. Am I overthinking now? That's the thing. Kama ni kukosa courtesy, I understand. Ukweli, because there are people who are just badly behaved. They lack home training. Like that one who threw pads. You can't tell me otherwise. You lack home training. There was, I don't know, you grew up with the wolves. And we can see even Tarzan is more civilized than you. So yes, inaweza kuwa tu labda ukweli, hana courtesy. It might be true. But also I'm thinking, let me overthink as well. Wacha niongee. If it's a matter of them not having courtesy, I do not want to work with someone in an authority position who does not realize that they are not courteous. Yeah, I don't think I want to work with someone in that. Yeah. If you're not courteous, you haven't realized that you lack basic home training. I don't think I want to report to you as an employee. Yes, inaweza kuwa tu ni ukweli, hukulelewa kwenu kidogo, hukufunzwa tabia nzuri. But if that's the case, I'll just look for someone who recognizes courtesy like me. Because Love, you're also still saying, Ama, he had so much in his mind, that's why he didn't excuse himself. I'm overthinking. This is giving benefit of doubt thing. And if you had a lot in your mind, and then you're distracted during my interview, because you think I wasn't busy out there looking for other jobs. Like, we're busy. I know you are busy running your business, but me, I'm also busy looking for opportunities where I can make money. For me to be seated here, I've literally taken time off my day to sit here with you and see if this is a viable option for me. I feel like someone's time has to be respected no matter what. Then when we were talking about the Aziad situation in the money etiquette situation, we also talked about respecting people's money. Same way, respect people's time. Because that is how, and I think this is something that my friends know I'm very keen about. If we are supposed to meet at 10, at 10:30, I'm still go find someone else to meet with. Find somebody else to do it, because it ain't me. I think disrespect is very sensitive for me. And I feel like respect shows itself in the little things, like getting somewhere on time, things like those. Just like be very keen on respecting people's time, respecting their money, whatever someone has, just show respect for it. And respect is not like when someone comes to you, you bend or kneel in front of them. Respect is the little things. Respect is honestly the little things. If I'm here talking with you right now, being on my phone or getting distracted or going to do something else, that is disrespectful. I don't know how you see it, but I feel like that is disrespectful. So at the end of the day, disrespect is very key for me. And places where I've worked, I'm usually like, I'm willing to work here no matter what. Corporate is toxic, people will fight you, people will do this, people will do that. But the minute it gets to disrespect, and I feel like that's usually a very stern point for me, that I have seen people do everything around me except disrespect me. So you can move the way you want. If you want, you can even go and get jambazis to beat me up. No problem. People move mad around me. But I've never seen someone come to my face and try and do something disrespectful, because that's a line I put that is very clear. It's a thick line that, here we don't cross. And even when I'm going into situations where I'm making money, sometimes, yes, there are days when I've been desperate, but I've just been like, because if I give way to this, then what? Just because I need money. And I'm telling you, that time when I quit a job when I left a job after 10 days, I didn't know where I was going to stay. I genuinely did not know where rent was going to come from. But I knew for a fact, I'm not coming to work here. I'm not coming to work here. This level of, until someone is getting into the office and they start shouting from the door, is this your house? You think these are your children? And then it's the other thing. Even sometimes, even if you're holding your ground, other people are scampering around. Boss is here, boss is here. Now you're running your ass around there because the boss is here. Can you respect yourself? Some of these people are people's parents. Respect. If a video of you was shown to your child, also, guys, learn to respect yourselves. Learn to respect yourselves, please. Because I feel like these bully bosses or these even bully customers, they know who to pick on. They know on the people who will actually cave or scamper when they come bullying them. So at the end of the day, respect yourself, and respect should cut across so that even employers as a whole know that us, when we're coming to these people, when we're employing people, this is the bare minimum. But people will not be held accountable if the bare minimum is always going, like the standard is always hitting the floor. When you think it can't go any lower, Mkasi Love, you're saying it's giving, I've seen what I needed to see immediately. Thank you. It's giving that exactly. I don't need for the pink flag to turn red for me to leave. If it's giving crimson from a distance, I'm out. Olave, hey, good morning. You joined the live today. You're saying, I once sat in the lounge waiting for an interview that was delayed by over an hour. And they didn't even have the courtesy to inform me that they were running late. I had to go and inquire. Thank you. And these are things that I actually, this is the respecting of time that I'm talking about. Respect shows itself in different ways. Respect really shows itself in different ways. And even if you are running late, 5 minutes is fine. If we are friends, sawa, 30 minutes, so long as I just know you, I know, okay, sawa, I'll be there in 30, sawa. Official of I'm going to work here, waiting lounge, 1 hour. This is wild to me. And as I continue to grow, like these are things I experienced in like my early 20s. As I continued to grow, I realized I do not want to take jobs where I'm not given a specific slot for me. Because as I continued to experience like working, I started experiencing where you are told, please come for the interview at 9 to 9:30, or like, please come for your interview at 10 to 11. Like that, like you have a slot. So when you get there, you'll find like maybe 2 or 3 people, but they each have their slot. Maybe you're going in from 10 to 10:15, like that. And you'll even ask the other people, they'll tell you, I was told to come at 10:30. And you have to keep time because at 10:45, someone else will be given their slot. So those are indicative. Those are some of the things that I'm very keen about right now. Those are usually indicative of a place that actually respects people's time and respects people. Once you start seeing things like you waited at the waiting bay for 1 hour, I'd really like to know, Olal, what was the story working there if you ever got the job, or even if you didn't take the job, what was the story from there on? Because I can promise you for a fact, if someone lets you wait for an hour, in whatever situation without communicating, is about to get disrespectful. That flag is already hella red. It's not even pink. That flag is already red. You're just holding on for the sake of it, like we've discussed in the first hour. There are sometimes you're desperate, so you're like, okay, I'm going to take the job, and then I'll stay here for like 3-6 months. But sometimes you take the job, like the confession that we've had. She took the job, and she was there for a full day. Went to the fridge, picked her lunch, went home, and said, it's okay, I can sleep outside. So if you're just coming in, it's exactly 9:03 a.m. and this is the In All Honesty podcast that goes down on TBC Radio Show every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. We didn't have it yesterday because there were things that were happening, but we've had it today. And today we were discussing client service provider situation. Is the customer always right? Or in this situation, is the person who's offering the money always right and have the right to do everything? So we've had our 2-hour show, and if you've missed the live action, do not worry. I got you. So this the full show will be uploaded unedited and cut on buyolive.com. You can find the link in my bio and get the episode for only 75 Kenyan shillings. That is how you get to support the podcast so that we keep running. But also, if you just want the second half of the show, which is usually the podcast part of the show, you can find it where you stream your podcast. That is on Spotify, AfriPods. You can find it on Hey, I have a couple, but the link is still in my bio. The link is still in my bio. So wherever you are streaming your podcast, you can always find the In All Honesty podcast there. But if you want to catch the unadulterated 2-hour show, find it on buyolive.com. Still link in my bio for only 75 Kenyan shillings. And someone today asked why 75 Kenyan shillings, because it's such an odd number. It culminates to 300 Kenyan shillings a month. Yeah, that's about how many dollars? It's about how many? 300 shillings is about how many dollars? Like $2. Yeah, per month. That's fair, right? That's fair. Yeah, so you can get your 4 episodes a month for only 300 shillings, and you can always catch this podcast every Monday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on TBC Radio Show. If you're wondering what TBC is, it's to be confirmed, because we still don't have a name for this radio show, and I asked you guys to suggest. So we are here, and I couldn't think of one either. I already thought of the podcast name. So TBC Radio it TBC Radio it is. But today we were discussing client service provider dynamic, and is the customer always right? In this case, the person who's handing the money, are they always right? So we've had a 2-hour show. It's been a good time. We've discussed the different situations. We've discussed service providers like photographers, makeup artists, the situation at KQ where there was a Nigerian woman who held used pads, used sanitary towels. I have to emphasize every time, at KQ attendance. And then we've also had a confession of someone who quit their job in their first day because of how disrespectful it was. We've also discussed the 97's podcast, the situation where there was someone who went in for an interview, and the boss, without even muting their microphone or putting out their camera, went and decided to pick a mango and start eating mid-interview, and they felt like that was disrespectful, therefore they quit their job. So all of that has been discussed in this episode, and if you want to catch it, you know what to do. The link is in my bio, buyolive.com, and you can find the episode for only 75 Kenyan shillings. Morioki Kiai, you are late. You've woken up late today, but we'll forgive you because I didn't do the episode yesterday. You're saying keep it as is, TBC. I think TBC is a cute name, right? So long as we just don't tell people what it's about. Yeah, Cassie Love confirms that TBC is giving. Okay, we keep giving. And until next week, please, Monday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on Instagram Live. Catch In All Honesty podcast on TBC Radio Show. But until then, thank you so much for joining. I hope you had a lovely time, and I hope you continue having a lovely week. Until next week, bye. Let me see what I'll play for you before you go. Do you know Amanda Black? I had lost touch of Amanda Black for a while. She's South African, and now I just see like she has something new. I think it's a project, a whole new project called Power, and I think it's a cute song. So I was thinking, okay, let me hook you up to this. We get our music from Spotify, and if you genuinely, here I just hook you up. You just hear a bit of the song, and then you can go ahead and add it to your playlist where you listen to your music. Cassie Love is telling me Tanzania Broadcasting Channel. And then my Kiswahili is on crutches. Yo. But Tanzania Broadcasting Channel is also giving. If Suluhu doesn't come for me, why not? Why not? If we leave it at TBC, anyone can choose what it means. But for now, until next week, bye. We finish our show with Hamba by Amanda Black. Bye.